When it comes to anxiety responses, fawning is perhaps the least known of the 5 Fs: fight, flight, freeze, flop, all of which are self-explanatory, and fawn, excessive people-pleasing. Some autistic people find that meeting someone else's needs and ignoring their own feels a lot safer. Fawning, at a glance, may appear to contradict PDA, for how could a person who is prone to pervasive and excessive demand avoidance suddenly switch to compulsive compliance? I believe this is where people get too hung up on the demand avoidance aspect of PDA and should instead view PDA as an anxiety-driven need to remain in control, or, as I call it, an instinctual desire to be free. In environments in which a PDA feels safe, the need for control manifests as demand avoidance. At home, there is no impression in the PDA's mind other than their family love them unconditionally no matter what they do. They will not compromise the unconditional love of their family members. All we have to do, though, is pluck them from that environment and place them in another, and everything changes. In an unsafe environment, the need for control could drive the PDA to comply. This is what I describe as inverted control, lending someone the upper hand in order to stay in control of them. The approval and validation of others outside of the family may feel like nutrition to a person who feels invisible much of the time. Even though the PDA in this case assumes a more meek and subservient stance, they are still exerting control on their environment. If they behave at school or at work the same way they do at home, the person or people they fawn towards may either flee or attack them. Because the risk of abandonment doesn't exist at home, due to the safety of the family's unconditional love, demand avoidance in this environment would be the most effective method of retaining control and reducing anxiety. Outside of the home, though, the dynamic is different. People don't love you unconditionally, and one has to resort to new methods of avoiding abandonment and retaining control. Fawning in this case becomes the safest go-to response. Fawning is not synonymous with kindness. This doesn't mean fawners aren't kind, it's just that kindness has no bearing here. And finally, just because you fawn, this does not make you any less PDA. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, is it safer to comply in this situation, or is it safer to avoid? The answer will differ depending on the environment and the company. Both, however, are being driven by a need to remain in control. Being PDA is not contingent upon being demand avoidant. PDA is a whole constellation of characteristics and qualities. It's not about being demand avoidant, it's about what's driving the demand avoidance, and what drives the demand avoidance can drive one towards other behaviours too.